How's everybody doing? Turn to your neighbor, shake their hand, and say, I'm glad you're here. Turn to your other neighbor, or the person back of you, give them a high five and say, I'm glad you're alive. Hey. So I wanted to talk about a few things, I had in my mind. I wanted to talk about the oppression of Native American people. I wanted to talk about how Native Americans have the highest percentage of drug and alcohol-free people out of all the races in the U.S. I wanted to talk about, all kinds of things, how we have mascots, and we have, Halloween costumes that are Native American and different things like that. But instead, I want to tell some jokes. Let's give them a shot. Right-legged horse seeks left-legged horse for stable relationship. All right, it worked. To make a long story short, I cut the book in half. I saw a dragon the other day trying to blow his birthday candles out. Watch out for people who avoid the sun. They're shady. I was going to tell some jokes about pizza, but I thought they'd be too cheesy. I'm losing them. Speaking of food, when it comes to fry bread, my wife, she's like a bum. She needs the dough. I thought that was brilliant. We live in a crazy world. I heard that in Detroit, somebody gets stabbed every 53 seconds. I'd hate to be that guy. It's crazy out there. Matter of fact, just recently, my son was slapped in the face by his teacher for talking back. Yeah, he's homeschooled. So it makes it okay, huh? Let's play some music. Everybody clap your hands. You're not in the young, you're not in the young, yo, whoa. You're not in the young, you're not in the young, yo, whoa. You're not in the young, you're not in the young, yo, whoa. You're not in the young, you're not in the young, yo, whoa. You're not in the young, you're not in the young, yo, whoa. You're not in the
Yana in the young, 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 Yana in the young,
Look at your neighbor and say, that was all right. You know, I worked a lot of jobs in my time. I wanted to be a track coach, but they just gave me the runaround. I also worked as a taxidermist. That's when I really got ahead. Yeah, you don't know the half of it. So I worked a lot of jobs, you know, different things. I even worked as an elevator repairman. It had its ups and downs. So working different jobs, you know, making money and stuff like that, you know. Shaquille O'Neal, you guys know Shaq, right? Shaquille O'Neal calls me up. He's like, hey, bro, I heard you're native. You think you could bead me some moccasins? And I was like, yeah, I can bead you some moccasins. So I beaded moccasins for Shaq. And that was no small feat. Give yourselves a round of applause, man. You guys have been awesome.
Hayo wana hawene, hayo wana hawene yo wa, 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 hayo wana hawene, hayo wana hawene yo wa. Hayo wana hawene, hayo wana hawene yo wa, hayo wana hawene, hayo wana hawene yo wa, hayo wana hawene, hayo wana hawene yo.
Why is one man rich and another man poor? Why we ain't satisfied? Why we gotta have more? Why are suicide rates on the red so high? Why I tell you the truth but you say don't lie? Why is being a good father at an all-time low? Why is it acceptable? Yo, why? I don't know. Why she blame him and he blame her? It's useless. Ask yourself this question. Why you making excuses? Why do parents gotta bury the kids? Why we text and drive, not caring how scary it is? Why you're so hard to forgive? Leave the past behind, and if you did, then that's divine. Why don't you help your brother when you see him fall? Why do we act like God don't see it all? Why do we call them black, them white, them Asian, and use labels? Now that's racism.
Hayo wana hawene, hayo wana hawene yo wa, hayo wana hawene, hayo wana hawene yo wa, hayo wana hawene.
Why?
Hayo wana hawene yo wa,
Why?
hayo wana hawene,
Why?
hayo wana hawene yo
Why
wa.
is there innocent people locked up for life, while some people can't say nothing nice? Why do we always gotta question what all of it means, and why won't you follow your dreams? Tell me why, that night when you took my dad, why'd you let me see my grandpa cry? And tell me why, and why do you choose to hide? You was born to fly, and tell me why, and why don't we turn from all the hate, and why don't we learn from all mistakes? Why do I keep on wrecking these fat beats? Teachers don't make more than professional athletes, and why? And why? And why? And why? And why? And why? Why? Ask yourself that question. Why? Yeah. Why? Why? Look at your neighbor and say, that was all right. My cousin can rap better than him. But we always got to ask ourselves these questions, why things are the way they are. And being a Native American, I'm constantly asking, that question, why were things done to my people, in that way? And why don't people understand that? Why do people continue to say, get over it, this is the time we live in, and not knowing that the history of this country, comes from a dark place, and what we're taught in schools is not the way it is. How we honor Christopher Columbus, and things of that sort. Why is it the way it is this day and time, even though it's 2015 going on 16? And so we got to ask our questions, ask these questions about life and how reconciliation between natives and non-natives is going to take place. And where it takes place is in the heart, honoring and back to humanity, love and respect. That's where it comes from. Loving the person who's next to you, the person in back of you, helping them, being kind. That's where it's at. Not hate, but love and respect. So that's on my own personal journey, is what I'm learning to do, is not to be so not always pointing my fingers and trying to have this justice, but have it in my own heart, have that peace and that love that's going to take place, and being kind to one another, and hope that love spreads, and hope people can see it in my life. And so I thank you guys for listening, and I'll go ahead and share one more a cappella before I go. This is prophecy, reloosed through the spirit of God in me. Honestly spitting, know that hitting hard is the policy. Now who the top MC? Hip-hop to hypocrisy. I properly handle his business, dismantle the mockeries. Get off of me. Something nice, blood of Christ in the arteries in harmony. It's war, swinging swords in the tops of trees. Philosophies get broke down just like pottery. It's possibly Satan who's waiting and making it hard for me. So I take aim, change game like Monopoly. Now they know it's me spitting poetry like Socrates. They pray to win the lottery. I pray against poverty. It bothers me. Check the economy on the REZ. It's an atrocity. Wrong, it's armed robbery. How they took the land in the sand is grand larceny. And now my sovereignty, we way past apology, no camaraderie. So God, I give you all of me. Thank you guys for listening.